In today's video, I'd like to talk about giants and what a Bible passage has to say about them. I also want to talk about giant trees, really giant trees, the likes of which are not seen today, and what the Bible has to say about that. I love you all, God bless, and welcome. So right now I'm looking at a picture of Coney Island, just one part, one of the many roller coasters around this elephant hotel. The Elephant Hotel has a strange history. Hotel turned brothel. There we go. And I thought we would just have one little peek at some Coney Island beachgoers. A cone. Coney Island. Cone be in reference to all these towers. What is the cone? In Peru, they found skulls. They're in museum in Lima. And these skulls are cone heads, like a humanoid cone head, like the movie, but a better skull than the movie. So I don't know, what was the cone? We're told of a hot dog that was invented here, the coney. I think it's just a hot dog with chili, maybe cheese. I'm not sure. And here we go. Here is the big draw. The beach, always a popular destination. And years ago, we looked at photos like this and laughed, noticing how odd the people are. Maybe it's natural. And more importantly, no beach towels, no beach blankets, just laying around in the sand. Maybe that's fine. Surely somebody has a beach towel or something. It's like a few chairs back here. Really very few chairs. Very awkward. Why so odd? I mean, this extravagance back here. A little glimpse at old downtown Coney. I don't know. And just a strange scene down here. This man preparing for a run. And here's some people swimming. And again, this is where Jerry Seinfeld's father was adopted. He was in an incubator. Yes. How many of these people may have been in incubators wearing matching swimsuits? And then we have like the chaperones in suits kind of scattered amongst the orphans. Hey, how about we get out of here and get ourselves a coney? Alright, that sounds great. Is there anything else to eat? I don't really like conies. No, there's nothing but conies here. Alright. I'm going way out there tonight. I'm going as far as I can go. And that would be as far back as the Giants. And I think that before this gap in time, before this reset, or perhaps several resets ago, the Giants were a part of this puzzle. Sometimes warring with man, sometimes coexisting. In North America, most of this evidence is swept away by the Smithsonian and left out of any historical, modern, academic texts. And yet, this is a big clue. Just the fact that we have so many accounts of the giant, not only in North America, but all throughout the realm, is a good indicator that they are part of this missing gap. It could be that they were wiped out, or on the other end of the spectrum, they may quite possibly still be in control, operating in the shadows. I don't know, but I thought we would have a little look at what history has to say. I want to thank stolenhistory.org, and we're going to glean their website. It's a great website. It's a community-based project where they initially post and then people can add their contributions. So again, shout out to them. And here we're going to use this to look at some of the writings by this Josiah Leslie Porter, an Irish minister in the 1800s. And we're going to look at this city of Bashan, an ancient biblical name situated in modern-day Syria. Its western part today is known as the Golan Heights. Golan sounding very much like Goliath, as in the story of David and Goliath, the giant that he took out with a stone. And in biblical times, this area was called Bashan. Here we can see it on a map, and I think this Mount Hermon is a ski resort. Sometimes in Genesis, giants are referred to as the Rephaim. The Rephaim can be described as an ancient race of giants in Iron Age Israel. And of course in the Bible it's over and over with these stories of giants warring with them, and what we can see is that they were thriving before biblical man comes along. What it seems like is there was a reset, and they're actually no longer thriving, similar to what we see with people today, or at least 100 years ago. Just picking up the pieces post-cataclysm. And it's like these giants have been thrust into a stone age. However, everything that we see predating this point is giant architecture. A great example is Baalbek, of course. Giant blockage, columns, archways, cornerstones, just beyond anything that a modern-sized human would conceive of building in such an early time period. But anyway, the book by this man, Josias Leslie Porter, The Giant Cities of Bashan, Syria's Holy Places. So here we go. This is the unknown past. I mean, it's known, but it's not known. The Golan Heights are more known for wars today. And here we have a book, The Giant Cities of Bashan, Holy Places. So again, we've discussed that the Jews were sent to this city, some spies, after the Lord told them to waltz into the city. And they came back and said, "We were as grasshoppers." And the Lord got upset with the people for not having faith. And here even confirming, most of them died out in an early time period. Some remained, such as Goliath, Sipai, and Lami, just to name a few. This man says, "I have traversed their streets. I have opened the doors of their houses. I have slept peacefully in their long deserted halls." One of these statues he sketched, and perhaps we'll look at that in a minute. "I have more than once entered a deserted city in the evening, taken possession of a comfortable house, and spent the night in peace. Many of the houses in the ancient cities of Bashan are perfect, as if only finished yesterday." Again, very reminiscent of what we see in our recent past in the 1800s. Beautiful architectural feats that just don't make sense. But yet this man is in the 1850s. So he's astounded, as if he's seeing ruins from biblical cities, and he's probably baffled, again because of this gap in time. And I think what this points out is that the Bible and this reset and everything is not thousands of years ago. Of course I don't know, but this man is experiencing exactly what we are now uncovering, and he's saying it back then. Now, this is similar to what I just shared recently in the 1850s in Utah. The Mormon Tabernacle is holding a meeting, and they're discussing empty cities where at least half of the homes are vacant. Entire cities. And they're encouraging their members to move into them. And here, this man, Josias, an old priest, 1823 to 1889. Here's his book. Many of the houses in the ancient city are perfect, as if finished yesterday. The walls are sound, the roofs unbroken, the doors and even the window shutters are in place. And he's pleading, "I am relating sober facts. I am simply telling what I have seen. No frills here. How can we account for the preservation of ordinary dwellings in a land of ruins? If one of our modern English cities were deserted for a millennium, there would scarcely be a fragment of a wall standing." So he has no one to talk to about this. If he pushes it any further, he's going to end up in an asylum. But here it is. All he could do was write about it. And all I can do is read it. He is discovering exactly what we are in this community in the 1800s. He's baffled. Cities that shouldn't be, and yet they are. And they date back to biblical giants. Here we go again. Their walls are 5 to 8 feet thick, built of large, square blocks of basalt. Basalt, one of the hardest stones. Perhaps remnants of ancient trees. Glassy, hard, silica. The roofs are formed of slabs of the same material. Really complicated building material, essentially. The doors and window shutters are of stone, hung on pivots. And we can still see examples of this today. Some of these ancient cities have 200 to 500 houses still perfect, but not a man to dwell in them. Okay, so this is gold. I don't know why. Things are getting juicy. We're starting to find the proof. And forgive me, this may be a few years old for all I know. Let's go back and see. July 18th, 2023. Okay, not too old, but sorry I'm late. An old book. And along with these 500 houses still in perfect condition without a man, I counted some 30 towns and villages dotting the surface of the vast plain, many of them almost as perfect as when they were built. This reminds me of a video I made years ago on the abandoned cities throughout Europe, and they were selling homes for $1 just to get people to move there. Very, very similar. Over the years, we've experienced what seems like thousands of examples. And now this is just hammering it in. I mean, here we just have this old account now. This man would just jump right into our community and have a great YouTube channel. This priest. And most likely all this fell on deaf ears. But at least it's here. I'm sure the Smithsonian would like this book to disappear. Okay. Now, as if this guy wasn't awesome enough to document all this for us, he was an artist too. Here we go. Okay, so he said the walls were 5 to 8 feet thick. What does that remind you of? Star forts, cathedrals, everything great throughout the realm is built in this overkill fashion. Great pictures. Here's a temple in the abandoned city of giants. Totally Greco-Romanesque, superior stone blockage, the likes of Baalbek or the pyramids of Giza for that matter. Here again, a scene looking like it's gone through hundreds of years. I mean, this arch has been blocked up is what I'm saying. Just many stages of construction, trees growing out of the walls. He did a great job. Moorish flares. Here again, looking like anything. What they would tell us is Roman, and yet he's capturing this in what is known historically as a city of giants in the Bible. Awesome. And again, the context, what we were reading above, and he's saying some of the houses are pristine. So here we go. I want to save one more little segment. Here we can see an example of one of those stone doors. 2 doors of stone on hinges, and really looking like a cooked out building. So awesome. Full stop. Okay. I feel so weird tonight. It is a full moon. Next, I want to go even further back than the giants, and I want to keep it biblical. I guess it's just the theme this week. This was inspired by a channel called Hangman 11 something. Anyway, shout out to him. Good man who specializes in ancient giant trees. And I struggle, and of course, always try to say I don't know. And ultimately, I believe in melted buildings and giant trees, and sometimes struggle to differentiate what I'm looking at. Today I want to show you 2 pictures of what I think are the remains of giant trees, and I want to read you this part in Ezekiel chapter 31. It came to pass in the 11th year, in the 3rd month, the Son of Man spoke to the Pharaoh king of Egypt. Behold, the Assyrian was a cedar in Lebanon with fair branches, and with a shadowing shroud. a high stature, and the top had thick boughs. The waters made him great. Essentially, if you haven't seen old biblical pictures of our realm, it's like there's this big tree in the center, and the realm operates like a pump, a perfect construct, pumping and circulating the waters throughout, oil way down deep, a dome protecting everything. And I think the tree's been cut down and maybe sitting at the North Pole. It may be the Black Rock or Mount Meru, the stump, and it's still magnetic, still highly charged, and still pumping water, even though the tree is gone. Only its branches can be found scattered, perhaps a few at the Petrified Forest in Arizona. But anyway, the waters made him great, little rivers created at the roots. His height was exalted above all trees, and his boughs were multiplied. His branches became long because of the multitude of waters when he shot forth. So this is like an old tree, an old early tree that sprouted at the beginning, had access to a lot of water. All fowls made their nest in the boughs, really sounding like the movie Avatar, The Great Tree. And I think this movie is depicting the end of an era, something similar to what happened in reality. And this tree was not like any other tree. The chestnut, nor any other tree in the garden of God, was like this tree, or as beautiful as this tree. It said all the trees envied this tree, really reminding me of the story of Satan being envious of Adam, not wanting to take the knee. It's really reminding me of George Washington in our early history, and the stupid story, chopping down a cherry tree. I believe the cherry tree is a symbol of Tartaria, and to this day we have a Tartarian cherry and cherry tree. Still a breed, and the cherries are tart. Anyway, I digress. So a stranger comes, terrible stranger of nations, and cuts this tree. And upon the mountains and all the valleys his branches are scattered, boughs broken, scattered all over, and the people of the earth are gone. So this event is clearly a reset. The cutting down of this tree must cause absolute devastation. Now the people are gone. There is no great harmonious umbrella. Upon his ruin shall all the fowls of the heaven remain, and all the beasts of the fields shall be upon his branches. And in my opinion, this is the mountains. The mountains are where most of nature resides. Nature resides upon the ruins of this great tree. And then no trees now shall exalt themselves to this height, nor shoot up to the same height as this great tree, because they don't drink from that water, the waters of the north. And thus said the Lord God, that he mourned, and restrained the floods thereof, and the great waters stayed, and all the trees of the field fainted. When the tree fell, he says, I made the nations shake at the sound of his fall, when I cast him down to hell with them that descend into the pit. And all the trees of Eden, the choice and the best of Lebanon, all that drink water, shall be comforted in the nether parts of the earth. And I would love to hear your interpretation of this passage in Ezekiel chapter 31, really sounding like a reset, the cutting down of the greatest tree in the realm. And it's been proposed in our community that the Great Flood may have even been caused by this tree, either making a mess of the existing waters, or eventually, maybe not all at once, but eventually, if there was such a giant tree, all of the waters that it contained would have to go somewhere. And if the branches were scattered all over the earth, then I think this is a culprit. And let me just end with one example. This is in Colorado, I believe, and we can see the rings of the tree. And again, this may just be a branch laying on its side. And here again, a cross section. So that's it. I think I'm out of time. I thank you so much for joining me today. I love you all. God bless, and I'll see you next week.